What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome into this Sports Insanity Network special. I am Mike Rifkin. Another edition, Rifkin Reacts. We got breaking news. After 19 seasons, Mike Tomlin is stepping down as the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. This after the Steelers got trounced in the wild card game last night by the Houston Texans by a score of 30-6. Let's here's how I'm gonna go about it. I'm gonna give you my initial reaction, go over Tomlin's history, what could be next in Pittsburgh, because I think there's two options. I think there's one realistic option for the Steelers that I think they should consider, and then we're gonna look at overhaul. But it looks like, according to Ian Rappaport and Tom Pelissero, it looks like Tomlin's going to take the year off from coaching as a whole, and he may go to TV. That's been rumored for a long time. We'll see what happens there. But Tomlin, in the 19 years in Pittsburgh, they did win that Super Bowl against Arizona, 193 wins in the regular season, 13 playoff appearances, and he never had a losing record, never finished below 500, which is an outstanding career. And honestly, probably something that'll never be broken again. That being said, it was time for Mike Tomlin and the Steelers. And I don't say that to be disrespectful. I don't say that as um, a joke. But listen, if you tuned in this morning and saw the recap of the wild card weekend games between myself and the old ops guy, we kind of hinted at this and we talked about it. Is this the end? And now we know it is the end of Mike Tomlin's tenure in Pittsburgh. And it is a tenuous, it was a listen, when you are only going to hire your fourth coach in over 40 years, that means something as an organization. But this was overdue. And quite frankly, I thought the Steelers should have done this last year after the Ravens beat them in the wild card round. Um, it was time for a change for this reason. The Steelers weren't getting better, and they were no longer, at least with Big Ben when he was at the helm, you could sit there and go, okay, maybe the Steelers still have a puncher's chance. Um, if not go to the Super Bowl, maybe the AFC Championship game. But the last couple of times they've gone into the playoffs, and let's be honest, let's go all the way back to the COVID year where they started 11-0. They lose to Washington, and then it was kind of all downhill from there. Big Ben retires. Um, they draft Kenny Pickett out of Pitt. They think that could change things at quarterback. Kenny Pickett didn't work. And because Kenny Pickett didn't work, they tried to kind of scotch tape the quarterback position. Last season, it was Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. That didn't work. This year, it was let's try it with Aaron Rodgers. And, that didn't work. So for Mike Tomlin, it's funny if you think about it, because last Tuesday we're reacting to John Harbaugh getting fired by the Baltimore Ravens, and now here's Mike Tomlin. And excuse me, um, it's sad, but at the same time, you definitely understand why this had to happen. Had to have to understand why this happened. And I think it's cool that the Steelers let Tomlin go out on his own terms as opposed to Harbaugh, who the Ravens just said, hey, yeah, we're firing him. This wasn't firing Mike Tomlin. This was Tomlin saying, I'm stepping down. I also prefer this to the absolutely overrated mutually agreed to part ways because that's just another way of saying that person got fired. Mike Tomlin For as much blame I give him for the Steelers over the past couple of years, he is a legend in Pittsburgh. Um, but like Harbaugh, you can only have so many years to kind of coast off that one Super Bowl. I mean, he won one, he lost the other one, ironically enough, to Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. So that's the first shoe to fall for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now the second one. What are we doing at quarterback? Is Aaron coming back? Are we going to try Will Howard? Are we going to look at someone else? Whether that's through the draft or free agency or probably a trade. Is it a stopgap guy? Is it a long-term guy? Like if I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers, though, and I've been on this bandwagon for a little bit, and if you listen to this morning's show with the old ops guy, I reiterated this. I think the Steelers got to think about maybe a rebuild, and a rebuild for the Steelers isn't a bad thing, guys. A rebuild for the Pittsburgh Steelers means they get to bring in pieces that they don't have. They don't have a great offensive line. They can work that through the draft. They don't have an elite running game. Draft or free agency, wherever you want to go. They need a number two receiver. Calvin Austin, Roman Wilson combined don't create a number two receiver. Defensively, listen, they're getting older. TJ Watt, I mean, no, not a knock on TJ Watt. Had that serious lung issue. That's scary. He's another year older. Cam Hayward, another year older. Oh, let's trade for Jalen Ramsey in the offseason. Okay, Jalen Ramsey's a great corner. He's gonna be another year older. So I think this team needs to figure out what the direction is. And I'm in favor of the rebuild. And here's my big thing. And we'll get into the coaching candidates in a minute. Let's look at the AFC as a whole for a second. Forget let's just go through the AFC. Are the Steelers roster wise? Are the Steelers better than New England? No. Are they better than the Denver Broncos? No. Are they better than the Houston Texans? Now that Houston even wee. Are they better than the Bills? No. Are they better than the Baltimore Ravens? I know they beat out the Ravens in the division. But I still like the Raven roster a lot more than I like the Steeler roster. The Chargers have a better roster. Again, if you watch this morning's show, what me and the old ops guy talked about Kansas City. I think they're back next year. They needed this year off. We'll see what happens with Mahomes, but they need to figure that. So their rosters, I think, a little bit better. Not a little bit. Is Cincinnati's roster better? I think so. The Steelers won the AFC North this year because Lamar Jackson got hurt and Joe Burrow got hurt. And then at the end of the day, the Baltimore Raven defense, as it hadn't done all year, couldn't come up with a big play. If the Raven defense comes up with a big play in that game last week, the Texans are in Baltimore, not in Pittsburgh last night. Because let's be honest, did the Steelers deserve to be in the playoffs? No. They lost in Cleveland. This is the problem with the Steelers, and it's happened over the years too frequently. And that was part of the reason Tomlin had to go. And it's part of the reason why, listen, I agree with the decision. Now we got to focus on the roster and what's next. So, who are some candidates? Well, I'm going to presume Arthur Smith, who's the offensive coordinator, I'm going to presume he's a candidate. I'm going to presume Terrell Austin, who's coached the defense, is a candidate. I wouldn't go there. I would interview a guy who used to be there. I'd interview Brian Flores. Hey, listen, I would interview Mike McCarthy. I would interview, if I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think there's one name I think you got to consider a couple of names outside of the group. I don't love him as a head coach, but I think you got to consider Cliff Kingsbury because this team has a quarterback conundrum. I mean, if Matt LaFleur gets let go, do you think about LaFleur? Would Rodgers come back for LaFleur and or McCarthy? I think that's an interesting question. I think the other name that I'm kind of on the spot, I didn't write any of this down. I don't think you're going to hire Stefanski. I don't think you want to go that route. You would know him a little too well. Is there a part of you, if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, you've been defense pretty much your whole existence? I think another guy I would look at, and I don't think he was a great head coach. He's a great offensive coordinator. That'd be Mike McDaniel. I think you can look at McDaniel. I think you can look at Cliff Kingsbury more as OC. But I mean, this is a weird one. Mike Tomlin going out is weird to me. It's going to be weird next year to not see him on the Steelers sideline. The move makes Andy Reid the longest tenured coach by one team with Philly. Not Philly, with Kansas City. I apologize. But hey, there's another spot. Hey, if Sirianni gets let go, would you consider that if you're Pittsburgh? I think the Steelers need to figure out three things with Tomlin gone. Can we rebuild the roster a little bit? How do we set up the roster? And once we set up the roster, let's look where we are in terms of the AFC North. Because you got Burrow and you got Lamar. I don't know what Cleveland's doing. I don't know if Deshaun's going to play. I don't know if Shadur's going to play. I don't know. Today, or last night felt like failure if you're a Steeler fan. Today kind of feels like a breath of fresh air. And I don't say that to be disrespectful to Coach Tomlin. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a great coach. At the same time, it was time for a change. And I would not be gung-ho about bringing back Aaron Rodgers. Let me be brutally honest with that. Maybe you take a chance on a quarterback, on trading for a young quarterback who needs a fresh start. You have to wait and see what the Steelers and what they're going to want to do. See what happens. We'll have more on this with myself and Noah when we do the Wishbone Shotgun podcast. Check that out wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on the socials, Twitter, Insanity Real, Facebook, the Sports Insanity Network. You can follow me personally on Twitter, Plummaster Rifkin, same name on Blue Sky. There's been another edition of Rifkin Reacts here on the SN YouTube page. Like, comment, subscribe. Check us out. Let us know what you think. What should the Steelers do? If you're Mike Tomlin, do you consider going anywhere else after taking a year off? Let us know what you think. We'll have more on the Wishbone Shotgun podcast. We'll talk to you then. We'll also probably have more on the Sunday Sideline Report, Sunday morning, 10 a.m., right here on the YouTube page. All right, guys, have a great day, and we will talk to you soon.